Let's dive right into what we're going to talk about. The Ravens, the Steelers. There's a lot going on here for a lot of reasons. And I want to really dial in, Brent, and have you give us some pointers because the Steelers need to win this game badly. And the Ravens have already clinched their playoff spot. What's at stake for the Steelers and what's at stake for other teams if the Steelers win or lose?
Yeah, so there's nothing at stake for the Ravens, and John Harbaugh has announced that he will rest Lamar Jackson and maybe some other guys. So this will be interesting for the MVP conversation. But for what's at stake for the Steelers is real simple. They need to win, and then they need some help, right? But first thing is to win. So it's a really, really great start that they're not going to have to play the Ravens' best players because there's no doubt they would have lost by 40. All right. So here we are. So that's good. The problem with this is, who does this impact? Well, this also has a negative impact on your Indies, your Jacksonvilles, your Houstons, potentially Buffalo, right? If Buffalo loses to Miami, they need Pittsburgh to lose to get in, right? And so this is kind of that competitive imbalance that, you know, we'll talk about later with the NBA that they're trying to avoid, but there's really nothing you can do about it, right? If John Harbaugh wants to
people are mad about this, right? Because people like the Bills and people other teams that want the Steelers to lose are like, play Lamar Jackson. Like they want to see Lamar Jackson in the game, and we're going to go into that, like you said, about who you're going to watch in the NFL. But does this really mean two things? Did Lamar Jackson apparently solidify the MVP? Because the fact that he's not even playing anyway.
John Harbaugh doesn't pick the MVP.
Right.
So it's not, doesn't mean he solidified anything.
But I mean, at the end of the day, his season is basically over till the playoffs start. So of the regular season, basically, which, by Lamar Jackson, the fans are probably like, he's the undisputed MVP candidate right now. Would you say that currently that he would have to be really the MVP of the National Football League right now?
Look, yes. I mean, I think he's proved it the last few weeks. But what will be interesting is what have a bunch of us said? What have you and I said? What would the Ravens be without Lamar Jackson? Right?
Yeah.
Well, we're about to find out. If they beat the Steelers by 40 freaking points and Anthony Wright throws for 5 touchdowns,
I like what
and
you just said.
Josh Allen turns around and throws 5 touchdowns against Miami, there's going to be a real debate about who the MVP should be.
I like that you said that. We are about to find out right now because he's not playing, and the Ravens still want to win. It's not like they're going to go in and not try to win the game.
Oh, yeah.
They may have a player or two, or is there other players that we know right now that are not playing outside of Lamar Jackson? Is there a Beckham playing? Is Flowers playing at the receiver position? We have to look that up and see because I think that could be an important topic. And before we go into some of that, we're going to find out how great the Ravens are without. But this is something that just happened, and this is more of the breaking news from yesterday that Dalvin Cook has officially, obviously, left the Jets, had to go through the waivers process, and then jumped on board with, quote-unquote, the Super Bowl-ready team this season, the Baltimore Ravens. So how much does Dalvin Cook add to the Ravens, right? What does this look like coming in the end of the season, leaving a team that basically has fallen off after, obviously your quarterback's not there and Rodgers isn't playing. The Jets are on a roller coaster season through quarterbacks left and right. But now Dalvin Cook gets a chance to join the Ravens, who are on track to get to the Super Bowl and one of the leading teams. And it just looks like, Lamar's not playing today. But is Dalvin Cook playing today? Is playing against the Steelers. Not today. I apologize.
Yeah, it's actually tomorrow, which is going to be a great game, right? So we get to watch midday. Is
Dalvin Cook playing? Football. Can he play that fast?
I mean, he can physically play. I bet they'll put him in. I don't know why they wouldn't, right? I mean, it's like they're already resting starters. They might as well see what this guy has got.
Is it a slap in the face, Brent? Is it a slap in the face to your starting running back if Dalvin Cook shows up?
No. It would be if you weren't resting everyone else. And I was going to tell you this. Harbaugh rested Zay Flowers, Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton, and Lamar Jackson in practice. So that's a good chunk of your starters right there.
But
yeah.
I get what you're saying about you're resting players. So if Dalvin Cook shows up,
going to be any
Ravens,
issues. It's like, hey, we don't care about this game. We're the number one seed.
But here's the thing. If Dalvin Cook shows up now, it's one of those things where you have two options. We really needed a running back on roster, or we really need a running back to play.
They don't need a running back on the roster. They're adding depth. Dalvin Cook did not play well this year, period.
Yeah.
So I know we talked about this the other day, that he's coming off of 4 1,000-yard seasons and a 5-time Pro Bowler and a dominating, but he didn't play well this year. And let's be honest, the Ravens got him signed him off of waivers. Nobody else picked him up, and his salary was only like $4 or $5 million. So if the Bills really wanted him, they could have picked him up on waivers. If somebody else really wanted him, they could have picked him up on waivers.
But this $4 or $5 million is for what, though? For this season?
Yeah, but that's my point. Nobody saw him as an immediate upgrade to their playoff run. That's why he wasn't picked off of waivers.
Yep.
And you can say his salary, whatever. No.
Who's going to win this matchup? Obviously, the Ravens are a much better team this season. If you take away a couple key players, can they still beat the Steelers? I know people in Ravens, in Ravens country over in Baltimore, I bet they still think, hey, without Lamar Jackson, we still have a good quarterback. It isn't like their team is trash. Can they step in and still beat the Steelers? Because the Steelers have their backup quarterbacks in too. It isn't like
no. The Ravens
they're not playing the all-star Steelers. I mean, the Ravens do have a chance to win this game, and the odds are not, that bad considering you have a Super Bowl caliber team.
Yeah, the Ravens are good. They're a Super Bowl caliber team, but I think it'll be really interesting to watch what happens here. I think that if they keep the defense mostly intact, we're going to find out how good Mason Rudolph really is. It might not go so well for Mason Rudolph.
At least for the first half. I hate, and we talked about this yesterday, when you start resting players for the playoffs, resting or just giving them low play time. You got to let them run around a little bit. Maybe run a couple routes. Maybe, do your back pedal, break on a couple plays, maybe third downs, some pass breakups, maybe kick return.
If the Ravens defense plays 1 quarter against Mason Rudolph, the score is going to be 136-0. This is not competitive to me. Starters versus starters. It's just not. Anyone that thinks it is crazy, right?
What you got today?
Now, the real question is, can Tyler Huntley or whatever? What's the quarterback's name? Tyler Huntley put up 30 points on those Steelers? Maybe. I mean, look, I'm ticked as a fan of a team in the playoff hunt that the Ravens are doing this. But I'll still like to watch the game to see how good the Ravens are without their main guys.
He watches for the first time. Brent is the Bills fan, so therefore he wants the Steelers to get beat. So the concern is, if the Ravens actually played well, then the Bills are looking like they get in the playoffs.
The Steelers lose that first game. The Bills are in the playoffs. They don't even need to show up to the game against Miami Sunday night.
Then all of a sudden, is Josh Allen getting rested against the
Dolphins? No, because Buffalo wants home field advantage in the playoffs.
Yeah, but still, this is the problem. The Dolphins, they should want home field advantage too, and they're like, well, we're going to rest
the difference is the Dolphins are banged up, and I'm going to make this statement again, which is a crazy statement that everyone thinks is crazy. I think Mike McDaniel should rest the Dolphins starters. Jalen Waddle's injured. Rest him. Tyreek Hill's in a walking boot. Rest him. Tua's got a shoulder thing. Rest him. Chubb is out. Xavier Howard is injured. Rest him. Like, what are you doing? You may lose the game anyways. I'm telling you, if he plays his starters or the guys that can play, they will be out in the first round of the playoffs. I don't care if they win or not.
You're saying the Dolphins
out in the first round.
If the Dolphins play their starters,
they're out.
Against
they will lose in
the Bills, the final home game of the season. If they win or lose, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
When they get to the first round of the
They're
playoffs,
done.
they're
done.
out.
They're out. Because if they win, which means they're going to battle and it's going to be a hard-fought game and they're going to win, guess what happens the next week? Buffalo comes back to Miami to kick their butts. So they're not they're done. And if they happen to lose, now they're on the road to Kansas City with an injured, depleted roster. I know it doesn't make sense, but they're better to rest their guys and start preparing for Kansas City.
Hey guys, thanks for watching and tuning into the Brandon Mason Show. Please remember to like and subscribe. Until next time.